In you is everything. We've been told from the time we were created that we were perfect. Our parents, when they held us like that beautiful little baby there, mother looks into that baby's eyes and says, "You are perfect. And all that I see for you in this life is joy. I see for you abundance. I see for you unlimitedness. I see you having the ability to create at a higher level than anyone has ever created before." And each and every one of us, whether we were a child and we were a baby, and we all have been babies, or whether we were a parent, we held that same idea and inspiration because we knew at that moment we saw the God presence. We saw the infinite intelligence of the divine ready to come forth. And then something happens. Something happens and Pink Floyd comes into the picture. And we become comfortably numb. And the idea is that what we're doing here at Agape is we're waking ourselves up from that numbness. So we have this series that we're in the midst of called Living in Joy. And when we're living in joy, we're talking about that the power, you first have to know who you are. And we explored that in depth, that we are the individualizations of consciousness. We are the oneness of the divine. We are the perfection of all that exists, come forth to express an experience in ways that have yet to be determined. And then we went and we said the power is right here within us. Everything that we need is right where we are. There's no place we have to go other than right where we are. We go within for our joy. We go within for our power. We go in to create, because going within, we now can imagine. You see, the imagination is the gift that takes us and stirs the creative juices. So that as we're going through life, we're having this experience and that experience and this experience and that experience. And with every experience, there's contrast. And in that contrast, a new desire is born. And in that new desire, the imagination takes forward and builds upon it. And in that idea of that, we go to the power of choice, which we talked about last week. We create the imagination, the view of what we want, and then we make a choice upon that. And here's the thing, and I'm going to say this really clearly. When a decision has been made, we are leaving out the possibility of anything other than that decision coming true. You cannot decide to take a step to my right and not do it. You either take the step or you have not decided. You cannot decide to make the step toward a greater health without being healthier. You cannot decide to be more loving without being more loving. Anything other than that is not a decision. So we pushed aside the idea that we're going to stop fooling ourselves, because that's what we're doing. We're fooling ourselves by thinking things that we have not decided on, and we wonder why we haven't demonstrated that in our lives. We haven't demonstrated it because we have not decided. And something comes into play there when we haven't decided, this idea of fear. And we come to the idea of fear. Fear comes in because we go back to where we started. We don't know who we are. And if we don't know who we are, we don't know what the power that's within us. And if we knew who we are and we knew the power within us, there can be no fear. You see, that's why we always go back to the idea of meditate, go into the stillness, go into the oneness, let go of all of these thoughts that are no longer serving, and then affirm the truth of who are you. You are the perfection of God. You're the perfection of, you're the perfection of an ant. Whatever you want to call God, use any name you want. I know that there's a lot of meanings to the word God. I had to go through years before I could come back to saying God from my Catholic background. But now when I say the word God, I'm not thinking of a being out there. I'm not thinking someone who has saved us, who is there to save us. I'm thinking about the allness, the presence that I am an aspect of. And as I think, my mind is actually thinking into the very mind that created the cosmos. And so as I think about that, I come to the idea of something that spurred the intention of my talk today. And it was Bruce Lipton and his idea of the biology of belief. And Bruce Lipton is a cellular biologist. He taught in med schools all around the country and out of the country. And he is an expert in this feeling. And what he came to understand is that these cells, the DNA in these cells, was not controlling what the cells would do. The DNA provided a tendency of moving toward a certain thing. But what he was able to uncover was that it was the environment in which the cells existed that caused the cells to produce and to unite and to heal and to grow and to become. Isn't that fascinating? It is the environment. So let's take that and let's break that down from the standpoint of what we talk about in every week we come here and we talk about the same thing. We come and talk about that we are the consciousness of one. So what does it mean to be conscious? It means that there's an aspect of us that's aware. And that aspect of us that's aware is aware maybe 5% of the time. Then there's a subconscious aspect of who we are that's got everything else that's ever been exposed to us, expressed to us, that we have blindly accepted. And that subconscious aspect of us is what creates. That is where the connection with the divine and everything is. You see, that's the stew that is creating our lives. And the purpose of the conscious part of our mind is to fill into the subconscious mind more of what we want. And the more we put into the subconscious, the more the subconscious takes it. And as we put more in, it starts to shift in creating our life experience. Does that make sense? So when we talk about having a demonstration, when we're shifting our thoughts to affirmative prayer, or as we call it here, spiritual mind treatment, we are treating the mind. We are treating the subconscious mind to see something very different than what's been in it before. And we do that through our actions. And that's what we're talking about today, this idea of inspired action. An action that is inspired is an action that is coming forth within that you cannot push down. You cannot use it. You cannot fall into the pattern that it wants because it's so calling forth from within you that if you did, you would have so much pain that it would be unbelievable. And the only way you can shift the pain is to come back into alignment with that which is desiring to be expressed. Does that make sense? I keep understanding more and more and more. Every time I get that uncomfortable urge, it's because I'm denying something that is desiring to be expressed. I am focusing on something in a way that is not allowing my higher expression. I am, in essence, not being love. The very moment, if in any situation I go into judgment, I will feel that pain. Because you cannot love when you're judging. They're completely opposite ends of the spectrum. You cannot do both. You either love or you don't. So if we're in judgment about anything, it means we're not loving. It doesn't mean we have to accept everything that is not like love into our experience, but we can say, oh, the divine's having an expression there, and who I am will not be attracted to that. And I find that to be the truth. When I'm centered in love, things can be going on over here and they don't touch me. They don't come into my environment because I'm so centered over here that I can only attract an energetic vibration that is like what I am. You see, that's who we are. We're energy expressing. Consciousness has come forth, and through the consciousness that we create through our conscious thoughts and our subconscious thoughts come together, they build an energetic that we are. That energetic is like a magnet and attracts unto us that experience. So all we're ever doing is shifting the energy that we're putting into the universe and allowing the universe to come back to us with that which we desire. So I want to say this. What are we doing? What is the action that we're doing? All we're doing is breaking habits. We are breaking habits of thought, habits of speech, habits of action. And we're breaking them because they are no longer serving that which we desire. You see, habits are inherently, they are not bad. Habits are wonderful if they are consciously chosen and they are taking you to that which you desire to experience. So the idea of building a habit of meditation is one that serves me. It has served many others. I invite you to consider the possibility. You hear me on the platform over and over say this. Do not believe a word I say. I am not your expert. I am simply an individual expression who has found things that seem to be working, and I'm putting them out there for you to consider. You get to choose how you express your life. You get to choose what actions you take, what thoughts you think. I have nothing to do with that. I am not here to judge you. I am here to bring forth these ideas and support you as you find your perfect path. And so when we talk about building this action, the first action that we do is we start to eliminate from our lives that which is no longer serving. That is what we call simplifying our life. And you've heard that said like, well, go clean out a drawer. Go clean out your closet. Get rid of things. What are you doing? You're taking that which is no longer serving you and you're releasing it to the universe, creating more space for new stuff. Well, we do that with our thoughts. We do that with our speech. We do that with our actions. We do that with people in our lives. As I go down my spiritual path, a lot of people have come in and people have let go. Not good or bad. It's just that we're in different places of growth and vibration and that, and we all are surrounding ourselves with that which is serving and supporting us. Remember, the only purpose we have in any relationship is the purpose of support and growth. The only reason I am married is so that my wife can help me grow and she can support me and I can help her grow and I can support her. Now, we've added one twist to that. We choose to do it in joy. See, that's the process that we have the choice. We can be in a relationship that is supporting us and growing us and not in joy. We haven't spelled that out. And what we put out into the universe says, yes, you'll be supported in grown. But if you haven't said joy over here, the universe will say, well, it's going to be pretty tumultuous. I've got a ride for you. See, I believe that joy is the essence of all that exists, and I believe that it can be experienced in anything if the intention is clearly set. So we have to release things in our lives. That's an action, and it's being aware of everything that's going on. And when we're aware of everything that's going on, we can then say, oh, that's not serving me. That's no longer serving me. I found this the other day as I was having a discussion with Stephen. I responded based out of habit. The second I responded, I realized it wasn't what I wanted to experience in the relationship. And about an hour later, I think it was, I came back and I said, my behavior there was completely out of alignment with what I wanted, what I want from this relationship. And I just made an observation. I didn't even apologize for it. I just made an observation that I was out of alignment. And you see, if I made an apology, I was saying I needed to I was looking for approval outside. I am not looking for approval outside of myself. Who am I to answer to? Who's in judgment of me? No one. The only person that judges me is me. When you really come down to it, if you think about your life, the only person that can have any emotional effect on you, in truth, is yourself. And so the only person who can judge you and cause you to feel bad is you. You may say, well, that person did this and I feel bad. No, it was your interpretation of what they did. Because in reality, they never do anything to hurt you. They're only doing things to make themselves feel good. People never do anything to you. They're only doing it for themselves. So when we can get to the point that we're not so the center of everyone's universe, that we're only the center of our universe, we have a better understanding of what life is. So we release the past. We release anything no longer serving us. And then we start a new thought process. And we start to do our very best of thinking in alignment with that which we desire. It's not easy. It's simple. It takes work. It takes action. It takes the ability to be conscious. You see, most of our thought patterns are unconscious patterns. We have a habitual way of thinking. And until we say, wait a second, stop. That's no longer servicing me. Those thought patterns will continue. And what are they filling? They're filling the subconscious mind, which is the creative aspect. So we have to be really guarded about what are we putting in the subjective mind, the subconscious mind, because when we're putting it in there, we're creating tomorrow's experience. So if we want a different experience, we've got to start filling it with things that we desire, things that we want. We have to block all thoughts from other people that are contrary to that which we seek. We got to say, no, I choose not to have that in my life. Next thing is, what do you speak? What are you saying to yourself in your self-talk? What are you saying to others as you speak? Are you coming from an empowered place? Are you talking about what you desire? Are you talking about the direction you're going? Are you being a positive support and seeing their magnificence? Or are you stuck in a habit that you may have developed over years that is no longer supporting you or supporting them? It becomes a matter of clicking the switch and becoming aware. I want to really put this to you as clearly as I can. If you can stop speaking to yourself in a way that knocks you down, you will be more than halfway there. Any words that you speak that say, I am, should be followed by something beautiful, something positive, something affirming, something greater. But when we say words like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I don't say I'm sorry. I'm sorry because that says I'm less than. I don't say that. I never intend to hurt someone, so if I've done something, I can go up to that individual and say, I love you. And I will change my words so that I can express that love in a deeper way. I find that to be more powerful than saying I'm sorry. Because when I hear the word sorry, for me, it means I'm subordinating myself to something outside of myself. When I say, I love you, and I'm going to do more to express that love and how I act with you, I'm coming from a self-empowered state where I'm coming from the God presence. I'm coming from love. It's that gentle shift of how we look at things. So what we think, what we speak, what we listen to. You know, it's considered rude to be in a conversation where people are having this huge pity party and not play the game. I'm going to tell you, it's all those words that we're hearing in that pity party, we're listening to, they're going into our mind, and where are they going into? Our subconscious mind, right? And if they're being fed into our subconscious mind, are they going to have an impact on what we experience? Yes. Have we decided that we no longer want that experience? If we've decided it, then we're certainly not going to listen to it. I gently and lovingly excuse myself out of those conversations, or I make movement to switch the conversation into something I want. Am I perfect? No. But I have people who are constantly telling me when I'm out of that. That would be my wife and my sons and my prayer partners, all people I've given permission to call me on it. You see, this is the benefit of community. Community is there to support you because when you're in community, you're saying, I want to be this. I'm telling you now, I want to be greater than I am now. And as I become greater, I want you to hold me to that higher standard. I give you permission to hold me there. And then in that, there's an energetic that shifts because I now know I have committed it to more than myself. I've committed it to all the energy that's in my life. Therefore, there's an impulse from within me that is greater because of the connection with everyone I meet. Can you feel that? There's so much power in numbers. The beauty of it is that Bruce, when in talking and reading about his book, he talked about the more cells that are in an environment, the more power those cells have. And basically what he was doing, he was saying at the smallest level that we know, the environment of working together in community was more powerful than working alone. That's why we come together. That's why it's easier to come together in a group and celebrate a service like this. Come together in classes and learn and practice together. Come together in prayer and meditation because there is a power in numbers. Because the energy, we may not have that energy, but when we're with others, their energy will lift us. And then as it lifts, because there's more than one, it lifts exponentially. And we get to benefit it. Here's the next one. Act as if you were the person you desire to be. If you want to be a millionaire, act as if you're a millionaire. What does a millionaire do? Millionaire pays himself first. A millionaire gives because he has the nature of a giving person. He is abundant. And a millionaire spends afterwards but he's always saving and giving first. See, it's a shift of consciousness. A millionaire doesn't buy things on impulse. A true millionaire is someone who understands the value and buys only those things that support that which they desire to speak. When we buy into the consciousness that's out in society, and it's a consumerism consciousness to just buy, and we're not thinking about what is our true essence. Well, my essence is I want to be financially free. What does financial freedom mean? Financial freedom means to be able to do what I want, when I want, and how I want with all resources already provided. Well, if that's the case, I have to say, buying a car every year, is that serving that or is that hindering it? Because I used to buy a car every year. I did that for years and years and years. Now, I buy the car that I like, that suits me, and I hold on to it, and then I take the extra money and I save it to build the ability to do what I want when I want. And so that's how next week we go to Alabama. That's how this month I go to Maui. That's how in June I go to India. You see, I've declared into the universe I'm financially free and I'm living it. I'm not saying, well, I got to wait till I have the money. No, I'm living it now. You see, I'll use the India trip because when the India trip came up, I said, how am I going to get the money to do that? That's expensive. How am I going to take time away from Agape? How am I going to do all these things? And I said, stop. I was getting caught up in the conditions of my rational intellectual mind, and that mind only limits me. And what I did is I made the decision that I would go. And after I made the decision, everything lined up. The flight, the perfect timing, the perfect guest speakers coming in, everything lined up. So now I'm free. I get to do what I want. But you see, you had to go back, and you had to go back to the prior step, and you had to make the decision. But once you make the decision, you've got to act as if. If you don't act as if, you haven't made the decision. You see, they're all related. The last point I want to make on this topic of action: there's no greater way to support your action than being with people of like mind. I can't stress that enough. There's no greater way than to be with people of like mind. Those of you who are here for the first time, it appears to be a little awkward because you really haven't plugged in. You haven't gotten to know people yet. I will share with you this. Come, take a class, come to one of our events. Get to know an individual. It takes one time, and you will feel a deep connection that is so loving and supportive, because it is the intention of this community to be that and only that. I would love to say that we are drama-free, but we strive to be drama-free. We strive to avoid triangulation. Do we all know what triangulation means? Triangulation means if I have an issue with Leo, I don't go talk to Steve about it. I go directly to Leo and express my views. If Leo came to me and wanted to talk about Steve and he wouldn't go to Steve, I would lovingly take Leo over to Steve and say, please talk with him. I am eliminating the middleman or middle woman, because that's not effective communication. The only effective communication are between two minds who are communicating. It's not drawing in a third mind. Does that make sense? That is an inspired action. So the other day I was having a thought about something that was going on in my life, and my wife just said to me, says, why are you talking to me about this? Go talk to them. You know, it's really a bitch when your wife is right. And it's really not that she's right. It's that the ego has to realize it's an ego state and it has to step forward. And what you have to do is when that person says that, you have to be grateful. You can't get that the hair on your back up. You have to say, oh, wait a second, I've asked for that. And so if I ask for that, I have to act as if I'm grateful. And I go, thank you very much. You know, it may not have been perfect that first time, but eventually I settle into about 7-8 minutes later. Now I'm really grateful. But that initial thing, you know, it's a habit. We have a habit that when people come at us, wait, we're right. I want to defend myself. We have this natural habit of always wanting to defend ourselves. You see, if we understand who we are, we know we're the oneness of God. If we understand that all power is within us, we never have to defend, ever, because no one can ever hurt us. The only person who has the power to hurt us is ourselves, and it's through our thought process. So let's go to these spiritual tools that we talk about, these practical tools. We talk about meditation. We talk about spiritual mind treatment. For newcomers, it's affirmative prayer. In affirmative prayer, we never ask. We are never beseeching. We are declaring our intention. We're declaring it into the subjective mind. We are declaring it as if it is now. There is no beseeching, because if you're beseeching and asking, you're going to something outside of yourself, and that's not what we believe. We believe the power was in. Jesus never went outside of himself. He declared, rise up from the dead. He says, by your faith you are healed. He never went and sought an outside power. When people asked him, he said it was the Father within, or it was the power within him. This is what we're celebrating today. We're celebrating the power that this expression of God came forth and shared with humanity, so humanity could raise up its vibration and experience God in a more unique and perfect manner. It is not the celebration of the man, it's the embodying of the man's teachings. That's what we're celebrating today. The teachings that he gave us because he tried them. He proved them. They worked for him, and he gave them to us and said, you try them. And you work with them. Bishop Spong, retired bishop of the Episcopal faith, he said this: Christianity is the greatest philosophy that is yet to be practiced. The greatest philosophy that is yet to be practiced, because the only thing that Jesus taught was love. Love of self, love of God, love of thy neighbor. When you watch television and you see all the judgment in the news, and you see all the judgment in the drama shows, and you see all of that, remember this: you're feeding your subconscious mind. When you're out there and you're listening to a pity party going on and you're partaking it, remember this: you are feeding the subconscious mind. Remember, when you go back to your past and you think about all the things that happened to you that were negative, what are you doing? You're feeding your subconscious mind. That mind creates. What I'm asking you to do is to feed it something new. Let's call it some organic thought. How's that? We're going to take organic thoughts free from pesticides, other people's opinions, thoughts free of things that we've heard somewhere else, things that have freely grown within the blessing and beauty of our minds. Our minds are that soil. We take those organic thoughts and we feed the subconscious mind. We take new thoughts that come from our imagination, that have come from within, that have been inspired by an idea, and we feed that into the subconscious mind. We take the love and support from all the people that are in our lives right now. We put that into the subconscious mind. And now we get to experience it. We get to know what love is. We get to feel love. And it will show itself in our health, in our wealth, in our relationships, in our connection to pure, pure love. If we are truly committed to our vision, we will align every thought, every word, and every action to the best of our ability with it. But here's the key thing. When we do that, there will be absolutely no doubt that we will win, that we will succeed. And once we've succeeded, guess what? We get to do it again. Because remember, this life is infinite. It never stops. We will forever and ever be creating anew. The greatest gift that I've heard recently was again from my son, who said to me, he says, Dad, most men your age are retiring. And here you are, you're beginning your whole new career. And you have the energy and vitality of a 20-year-old. I want to say to you, when you get clear on your vision, whatever it may be, and you make that decision and you act upon it, you too will have that energy. You will have that vitality, because I know what's in me is no different than what's in you, is no different than what was in Jesus or in Buddha or in Krishna. It was the idea of love, of oneness, of pure joy. I want to thank you for joining us today. I am so grateful that you took your time to watch or listen to this message. If you found this message beneficial, I would ask you to go to our website. Once there, click on the Contribute button and experience the joy of conscious and purposeful giving. It is through your gifts that we are able to bring this message to the world. I would also ask you to please share this message with anyone you feel might benefit. Again, I want to thank you for joining me and the Agape community as together we bring joy to life.